that are
What
trying
proof?
to defeat
What
that.
historical evidence do you have of that?
Have of what?
That these people that were following them were just gullible. Where's your historical? Like, what are you talking about? Have you studied Egyptology?
No, not at all.
Okay, tell here. Let's do this, Jonathan. And don't worry, we've been off here for a while, so don't worry about how you're coming off. But tell me something that you know definitively
I
that
have a
you've
conscience.
that you've looked at and that you've actually studied and that you actually know, not something that you're just speculating about. What do you know definitively?
Well, I mean, definitively, I can say I've never been shown proof.
Okay, so what you know definitively is that
I've never, like, kind of like, when somebody tells me if I get start smoking, get cancer, they can show me that. But nobody can show me
show you what?
anything, any claims that any religion has. Nobody can show me anything.
Jesus rose from the dead.
Where? How?
In Jerusalem by the power of God.
Where's your proof of that other than people telling you that?
What would constitute proof?
I would say that's where people are gullible. They take other people's words and believe it. That's what I would say we're gullible with.
Hey, do you believe in evolution?
Honestly, I'm skeptical on that.
Do you believe we put a man on the moon?
Do I believe in what?
You believe we put a man on the moon?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Because they showed it on TV.
Oh, so you believe everything you see on TV?
That's a good one.
So now you're silly and gullible because you believe that we put a man on the moon.
I mean, come on.
Was there a guy named Julius Caesar?
That's a tad bit different. They can show they can bring shit back from the moon.
How do you know it came from the moon?
They can do all kinds of shit.
Hold on. How do you know it came from the moon? Because they said so?
They saw the rocket leave.
Wait.
And then they came back.
You saw a rocket leave. How do you know it went to the moon?
That's a good question. I don't.
So because a bunch of people said that they had moon rocks. Have you ever actually touched a moon rock?
No.
So how do you know? How do you know?
I just don't have a hard time thinking that something that's happened so recently and I just don't. I can't give you an argument there, man.
Right.
I can't bring an argument with that.
Right. So what you've just demonstrated is that you're completely inconsistent.
So no, what I've demonstrated is that I could just be gullible.
That's fine, but you're inconsistent with your application of your own gullibility.
That's fine. No. I can say that I'm gullible and that it takes faith to believe in just a lot of things.
Anything.
You can also be shown things too.
There's no major thing that you believe that isn't based on faith, my friend. Julius Caesar.
That's not true.
Who's Julius Caesar?
I can take medicine and it cures me of my problems.
Who is Julius Caesar?
Julius Caesar. I'm not sure, man. I've heard the name.
Huh?
I've heard the name. I don't know.
He's a guy that was running the Roman Empire for a while, right?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Did he exist?
Oh yeah.
How do you know? How do you know Julius Caesar existed? You ever seen him?
Because of documentation.
Oh, so because people said he existed, you believe he existed?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I believe Jesus rose from the dead because of documentation.
Well, I believe Jesus existed, which is not what the atheist that you had on says. He doesn't believe in God, which he would know more than I would.
Well,
he doesn't believe Jesus existed.
Which atheist?
I just don't agree with him there, and I could be completely ignorant for saying that.
Which atheist are you talking about that didn't believe Jesus existed?
Ra.
Yeah, Arn. And he admitted that he was in the minority of even atheistic scholarship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why I don't agree with his concept on that.
Right.
Because I believe I remember reading something a few years back that they found documentation in some kind of Roman area where a man named Jesus was crucified.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, shit like that is I don't see how you could not believe that. But I mean, anyways, yeah, I just don't believe that his claims were real.
Okay.
Because you can't see it.
All right. So, well, you believe a lot of things that you can't see. You believe you believe a man went to the moon. You can't see that. You believe in Julius Caesar. You can't see that. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you believe that you don't see. So,
but, I mean, that could work both ways, my friend.
No, I'm not the one. I'm not the one saying that I have to see things in order to believe them. That's you.
No. But what I'm saying is, what then tells you that what your beliefs aren't right, and that everybody else's beliefs are wrong?
Oh, because Jesus rose from the dead, so everything he says is right, and anybody that goes against him is wrong, because nobody else has been able to pull that off.
So, if you were born in some kind in the Middle East somewhere, and you were a Muslim, would you believe in Jesus?
Sure, I've met lots of former Muslims who believe in Jesus.
The former Muslims that found people that were Christians.
No, Jesus.
But had there not been Christians, they would have not had any idea.
Untrue. Jesus appeared to them in dreams.
So I guess they're more special than the rest of us then, I guess.
No, it's what I've been telling you, Jonathan. Anybody who truly wants God will have him. If you don't want God, if you want to stand in judgment of God and compare God to Hitler, then obviously you don't want him, so you're not going to get one of those.
I just told you, my friend, a little while ago that I did. I did for a while.
Yeah.
But my questions were not answered.
Well, your questions were not answered in a way that Jonathan liked.
No.
I mean, you gotta look at yourself.
They just weren't answered, my friend.
Okay, I'm answering them. People who do not want God go to an existence where God is not. And when you put a bunch of people together who are that godless and let them go in a system that is not influenced by God, they will create hell. And that's the world that many people are asking for.
See, that's what you're misunderstanding. People aren't asking for that.
No, that's what you're misunderstanding. People are.
How are they at? Nobody's saying, hey, take me to hell for all eternity, man.
Listen, you're not understanding.
No, nobody's saying, I am understanding. You're saying because we reject God, we're asking for separation from him, so we're asking for hell.
Listen closely to what I'm saying.
Yes.
From a biblical perspective, any good that you see in the world is because God is imposing himself on the world. But eventually, I've got people that I'm friends with who constantly want God out of their business. So what happens there's going to be another dimension where everybody that for their entire life wanted God out of their business, God's going to say, great, go for it. Create a society and create a world, I'll leave. That society is called hell.
Okay.
You can't blame God for that.
But
listen, do you know what Valhalla is?
No, I don't.
Valhalla is a place where Viking warriors go if they die a noble death. Do you know what happens? Do you know what happens in Valhalla?
No.
In the morning and in the afternoon, you do jihad, you fight, you go to war, and you're killed in battle and you die, and then you get resurrected to Odin's great banquet hall, where you drink mead until you're pissy drunk and cavort with prostitutes. You go to bed and you wake up the next day and you do the same shit all over again. That's Valhalla.
All right.
Now I would look at that and say, shit, that's hell. It's just nothing but war, alcohol, and empty sex, right? To them, it's heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my
point.
point.
So you're saying we all get to go to heaven?
My point is, God is going to give us all what we want. If you want a world, Jonathan, without the God of the Bible imposing himself on you, you will have it. If you want a world where you are with the God of the Bible, you will have that.
So you're guaranteeing me what you're telling me right now is that in your view, when I die, I'm going to go to hell. But hell is just an eternity away from God. It could be going to the bars and having a good time. You're telling me it could be that. It's not all the hell, fire, and brimstone like some people believe. You're telling me.
Listen closely. I don't believe that. Listen to me. You asked me a question. I'm trying to answer to you. I do not believe that God's going to set you on fire for all eternity.
Okay, that's interesting. Some people would disagree with you.
Here's what you're not under. Well, there's fire and then there's eternal blackness. Which is it? Right. So the Catholics in the 15th century said, "Oh, it's black flames." I don't think that's the point. Here's what you're not understanding. When you think about going to the bar, what you're thinking about is having a couple drinks, probably some interesting conversation, maybe the football game's on the TV. You're around a bunch of people who are easygoing. Maybe you meet a nice girl. That's the bar.
Okay.
What you're not understanding, Jonathan, is that God is in the bar. And the reason that you can have good conversations is because God is in the midst of you all. And the reason that there's even a football.
Looking for God in a bar, my friend.
Listen, that's my point. You're not looking for God, but God's looking for you. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. That's you're not understanding. So
that's not true.
The reason that the bar is a nice place to go to, even though there's a lot of bad shit and a lot of commandment breaking that happens in the bar, is because God is still there. You've never experienced existence outside of the presence of God.
I haven't experienced existence outside of what?
Outside of the presence of God. You've never experienced that.
That doesn't make any sense to me, but okay.
Yeah, so, that's what you're not realizing. So no, God's not going to set you on fire. But the society that you and other people who want to reject God will create after 1,000 years will be completely hellish. Look, have you watched the movie The Purge?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. Has it ever struck you as strange that when isn't it strange when the government says, "Hey, you can do whatever you want without consequence of the law," that people don't go, "Oh shit, let's rob Walmart and feed all the homeless people"? What are they doing in The Purge?
They do a lot of shit that would probably happen in real life if it was an actual thing.
Exactly. And what does that tell you about human nature?
I never said that human nature was good.
Okay, so here's what I'm trying to explain to you. In your dimension of the universe where God isn't, it's going to be all the purge all the time.
Okay.
So God doesn't.
Basically, if I choose the other route, I'm going to end up in the purge. But if I choose the good route, I'll end up in some kind of gold cemented city with God and chilling, whatever.
I don't think that the gold cemented city is the point there. In the Old Testament with King Solomon, you've heard of him?
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do for you, man? I'm going to start reading the Bible. I got one in my room that my parents gave me when I was a kid. I'll try to get back to you on some of this stuff because I'm kind of talking about certain stories that you're bringing up.
That's a plus. But look, here's the deal. In the book of Revelation, which is where you get the gold-plated streets, there is the book of Revelation is the last book of the Bible, and it's basically taking everything that you've read, every other book, that big thick book of the Bible, and it has little nuggets from each book. So Solomon was a king, and he basically ran the economy so well that there's this phrase that silver was as common as the stones on the ground.
Okay.
Basically, we were so rich that you would just run into silver because it was like silver was like as common as the rocks on the ground. Okay?
Okay.
So when you hear gold-plated streets, it's basically saying this is an upgrade from the way Solomon was. Everybody's going to be fine economically. Nobody's going to be worried about money. Because the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil, right? And so,
you could say that. Yeah, I agree with that.
what if you had a society where everybody was so over abundantly rich that nobody was worried about money, and we could just go and worry about the important things, which is people?
I would still say people would be selfish.
Well, I agree with that to a degree. My
Because
point,
I mean, you could look at any rich motherfucker these days, and there's nothing wrong with being rich. I could give a shit, but it's never good enough.
I agree with that to an extent. If you're with God, my point is I don't think you're going to be worried that much about the old paved streets. But the point is, here's the thing: if you want God, you're going to be in God's society, and you have to think, what type of society are people going to create if they believe that they were in the image of God and that God was with them? What type of art would they make? What type of architecture would they make? How would they govern the world? Then you have to think to yourself, what type of society are people going to create if there is no law to stop them from being as evil as they want to be? So that's the world.
I'm not implying that laws are bad.
No, I'm not saying that you're saying that. What I'm saying is that the very fact that we have law and order is a gift from God's nature. But if you have a society where God is completely absent, then law and order goes with him.
I disagree with that. Because
I'm explaining to you.
There's been plenty of law and order around the world for forever, even before the Bible.
But no, my brother, you don't need the Bible to be made in the image of God. That's what you're not understanding.
Well, that's kind of the hard point when it comes to debates between non-believers and believers, is that there's just such a hard understanding of what it's like to live in the belief of God, and then it's hard for the other side to imagine a life without him.
Yeah, well, so, it's impossible.
It's hard for you to understand because it just doesn't register a life without God.
No, you're not getting it. You're asking me about hell. I'm explaining hell to you.
No, you were saying that if we didn't have God, there would be nothing. There would be no law and order.
That's correct.
Because he lives inside of us, is what you're saying. The
right.
Holy Spirit or whatever the fuck.
Right.
What I'm trying to tell you is it's hard for you to understand that in a world without that. It's hard for you to get the concept.
No, I can understand a world without God. It's a combination of The Walking Dead and The Purge. That's a world without God.
Well, that's what you think, though. But there's a lot of great things and great people that came without God.
No, they're only great because God has made them great.
Well, see, that's just... I mean... I don't see how you that's part of the problem is that I don't see it that way and you see it that way. So it's just kind of like there will never be an argument. There could be no winning debate.
I'm not bro, we're not listen, we're not debating. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but you don't have enough background to have a debate with me on it. Okay?
No, that's fair. But okay. What I'm saying is even with people who are educated and well respected in that man.
Well, what I'm saying is we're
same thing saying that there is no God within people. It's all just made up, fabricated in their head.
Okay. All right. Well, you asked me about hell, and that's a biblical explanation of hell.
Okay, so you don't think hell is necessarily a bad thing. It's just a good thing for people who don't like God.
I don't know how a combination of The Purge and The Walking Dead can be construed as anything other than bad.
Well, I mean... but let me tell you something right now, my friend. I know I'm not a good person, but I'm not fucking Hitler. I wouldn't go around fucking raping people and shit like that, even if there wasn't any consequences.
You're naive.
Nah, bro.
You're naive. Listen to me.
You're saying you would do that if you didn't have God?
Of course I would. And so would you. Listen. Hitler is one person. How the fuck did he kill all those people, Jonathan?
He thought he was doing the right thing.
Listen, How did one person end up killing 11 million people?
He didn't do it by himself.
Exactly. You know who helped him? Very nice, very suburban, very common people who thought. You think those people that sent their Jewish neighbors into the gas chambers at Auschwitz, you think if you would have told them 10 years before they were going to do that shit, that they would think that they're capable of that as a society? No.
10 years before that? From
Right.
my understanding, everything went to shit because the Jews had all the money and they were fucking Germans over.
My brother.
And that's why Hitler came about.
My brother, Hitler.
I could be wrong.
Hitler was able to. Listen. These evil motherfuckers who go out and kill millions of people, they figured out human nature. You're naive about your own nature, but these evil people.
Actually, I disagree with you there. I
Listen.
disagree with you there.
Hold on.
I
Listen.
wouldn't say that all of them were evil.
Listen to me. Yeah.
Okay.
The very fact that you're just saying that you wouldn't say that they're all evil indicates that you're capable of that type of evil.
No.
Do you believe? Let me ask you a question. Is abortion, is it good or bad?
Is abortion good or bad?
Yep.
I'm pro-choice, but I don't think it's good.
You know how many kids we've killed in this country since Roe versus Wade?
Oh, I think it's a completely necessary evil, if that's what you're asking me.
Okay, so here we go. So here you go. You're saying that you don't have Hitler inside of you, but you're okay with the fact we killed 55 million people.
I just told you that I'm not a good person.
Yeah, but you also said that you're not Hitler. But
No, I said, did I say that?
Yeah, you said you're not Hitler.
From what I remember, maybe you're right, but what I said was that I wouldn't go raping and killing people.
Yeah, you would. You would. Listen, you just co-signed killing 55 million human beings.
Okay.
It makes you worse than Hitler. You only killed 11.
So what you're saying is because I would co-sign on something, you're somehow better because you're a Christian?
Of course not. I just told you. You just asked me if it wasn't for God, would I be killing people? And I said, of course. I just told you that.
No, but what you're saying is that if people have God, then they don't do evil shit like that.
And you have God, and that's why you're not an evil murdering rapist. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. But if you existed in an okay,
I forgot about that whole shit. I'm sorry.
Right. If you existed in a
I forgot about the whole concept that you think everybody has God within them.
Right. If you existed in a society where God wasn't, then you would be as evil as you could be.
I mean, there's no way to argue that point, because if you believe that everybody has God within them, there's no argument.
Right.
So I can't even.
Right. So I'm just trying to answer your question. I'm just trying to answer your question about hell. And,
okay.
and the answer is no, God is not going to set you on fire, but it sucks. Because you're going to be living.
God isn't going to do it, but we're going to do it to each other.
Exactly. He's been spending thousands of years keeping us away from each other. And when he lifts his pinky finger, you get World War II and the fucking USSR, where we bodied 150 million people. Sent them to the gulags and did human experiments over there in Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen. And if you don't think that you have that you and I don't have the capacity to do that shit, you need to open up a history book, because all the atrocities in the world have been committed by common, nice, decent people. And the people that have gone against it have always been in the minority. That's why right now, I can send you an email of what a 15-week-old fetus looks like, and you'd be okay with dismembering that child in utero without anesthesia.
I wouldn't do it myself, but yeah.
Oh, exactly. And that's some evil shit, my guy. That's evil as hell.
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, you can say just about anything evil, my friend.
No.
You could
Giving a kid giving a homeless person a sandwich is not evil. Dismembering a 15-week-old baby who's completely defenseless without anesthesia, that is evil. And you know that's happening.
Going down to the burger joint is evil too, then, my friend.
Say again?
Going down to the burger joint is evil too.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
How do you figure that?
The cow was not created in the image and likeness of God. The 15-week-old baby is.
Oh, Okay, so you're saying people are better than animals?
Of course they are.
They're more worthy of respect than animals.
Of course. Listen, have you watched the Discovery Channel?
Oh God, not in years, man.
You ever seen those lions
I don't
roll up
even
on the
have
female? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a lion mate with a female lion?
No, I probably. I just don't.
You think there are laws for consent in the animal world? You think there are little lion prisons? You think there are lion jails where they arrest other lions for sexual assault?
Dude, we have animal instincts just like animals.
Can you answer the question? Are there lion
no,
prisons?
Huh?
Huh?
No, there's no prison system for animals. No.
Okay. But
They're
there is.
more intelligent.
So what you're saying that if a woman is raped, then it's the same thing as whether or not a male lion jumps on a female lion, or are you saying if a woman's raped, then it's worse?
Let me give you an example of why animals are no different than people. An elephant.
Answer my question.
What?
Answer my question, and then I'll answer your question.
You'll have to respond.
So if a girl gets raped, what you're saying is, hey, it's just one animal jumping on another. Not really that bad of a problem.
No, because I'm smart enough to know what's right and wrong.
Well, wait a second. I thought we were just animals.
We're more intelligent species.
So what is that?
Just like pigs are more smart than cats.
Well, you just said that we're not worthy of any more respect than animals. Are you changing that position?
So what you're saying now? Let me get this right. So what you're saying is a person with Down syndrome is less worthy of somebody that can create a mad scientist or whatever. So you're saying intelligent.
How are you possibly getting that? Who told you that? I didn't say that.
No. You're saying intelligence. Because that's what it comes down to.
No.
Animals are not as intelligent.
You're wrong. I said image of God. I didn't say intelligence.
Well, I mean.
You said that.
So like, I just don't agree with you there, man. I think animals and people are worth just as much respect as anything.
Okay, so then when a lady lion, when a dude lion jumps on her, it's the same thing as whether if a dude jumped on a woman in the middle of a street, that's okay because we're worthy of the exact same level of respect.
Animals show the same kind of mannerisms.
Can you answer that question?
Well, let me go back to what I was going to ask before.
Are you going to answer the question?
You already know the answer, man.
No, you didn't. I didn't know.
What?
I don't know the answer to that question.
If I see a male lion jump a female lion, is it the same thing as if a man jumps a woman? Is that what you asked?
Uh-huh.
What is that what you asked?
Yep.
Is it the same thing? Yeah.
So then the woman's crying because she's being sexually assaulted. Hey, she doesn't deserve any more respect than the animal.
When did I say that?
Well, you just said that they're equivalent, so that's the ramification of what you just said, right?
No, I would say that it's I mean, it's wrong because we know it's wrong.
Why is it?
We have power over that.
Why is it wrong?
But lions can't control things like people can.
Oh, so then should we have more respect in them then, or no?
More respect for them?
Yeah.
I didn't say we should have more respect for them. I said just we should have respect for them.
Are you a vegan?
You don't? No, bro. I'm a fat fuck, bro.
Okay, so that means that you believe that you're taking part in a Holocaust because you're eating meat.
Oh yeah, sure.
So the KFC is just as bad as Auschwitz.
Without a doubt.
You're full of shit. You don't believe that.
No,
all right, go say what you wanted to say.
Have you seen videos on what they do to animals, man?
Go say what I'm well aware, but it's also bullshit that you believe that Auschwitz and KFC are the exact same thing because you don't.
I mean,
you're being dishonest.
Stuff on both Auschwitz and what they do to animals, and I would actually say what they do to animals is worse.
You're being dishonest. We went in there and
let me go back to what I was trying to tell you a while ago, bro.
We went in there and killed a bunch of Germans for doing that shit to Jewish people. If some psychopath went into a KFC and killed those workers, you would look at that as a tragedy. You wouldn't say, fuck those people. Good for them.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So that means that you don't believe they're the same thing. Okay, now go say what you were gonna say.
Wait, hold on. Maybe I misunderstood your question. What?
If some wacko went into a KFC and killed and shot all those kids working at KFC,
No, not working in the store.
what do you mean? They're taking part in it, aren't they?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think most of us are.
Okay.
I actually believe every single person on this planet is taking part in it in one way or another.
Okay. So,
vegan or not vegan.
But those guys are doing it more directly, though.
No, the people actually doing the action are.
Yeah, that's the most direct. But the people that are working there are taking part in that in a very direct way.
You could say that, yeah.
Okay, so if some psychopath went in there and shot up all those kids, those 16-year-old kids, this is their first job, you would say, yeah, fuck those kids. That's what they get for working in that place.
No, see, I misunderstood your question. I thought you were talking about people like doing at the actual butcher shops or whatever.
So you would be okay with that if they killed all those kids?
Okay, I'm not saying it should happen, nor like I think World War II should have happened. I don't think that Hitler should have done what he did, and I don't think that.
Do you feel bad? Do you feel bad that we killed those Nazis in Auschwitz?
Do I feel bad that we killed them?
Yeah.
I mean,
do you feel it's not? Is it a tragedy?
Is it a tragedy
that we killed all those Nazis? You feel bad that we killed those Nazis?
I don't feel happy or sad about it. It's just, it is what it is.
Okay. And if a bunch of kids got killed in a KFC, you'd be like, oh, it is what it is, or would you feel terrible?
I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, man, I see so much shit on the news, it's just kind of desensitized me to
I know, but before you were desensitized, you'd see it as a tragedy, right? Can we just be honest?
No, I'm agreeing with you, yeah.
Okay, so that means that you don't see that animals and humans are the same. What were you going to say?
Well, I'll get to something. I'll go back to what I was going to say and then come up with something else because it applies to what you were saying about the killing people scenario. Actually, I'll just talk about that first and then I'll go back to the animal thing. So those doctors that were killed by, those abortion doctors that were killed by Christians, do you think they were justified?
No, because it's not for Christians to initiate the death penalty. That's not our role in society.
Okay.
We traffic in God's mercy. Then. Say again?
So you'd be anti-war then?
Well, look, I don't know how much you know about the military, but not every MOS is a combat MOS. So I believe that the killing is for unbelievers to do. It's not for Christians to do.
So you don't believe that any kind of killing of any sort should be done by a Christian?
Correct. I do not.
So you are anti-war?
Nope, that's not what I said. I am anti.
If you're killing people, you're killing people. Doesn't matter how you justify it. You're still doing the action.
Listen, here's the way that I
I mean, I could just if I wanted.
I need you to let me explain.
I could justify what Hitler did.
I need you to let me explain.
But I'm not going to.
I need you to let me explain. Because I said that it's not for Christians to do the killing. That doesn't mean I am anti-war. So, for example, you got a guy like Bin Laden, right? This is the example I always use. And there he is in Pakistan, okay? Okay. If the Christians get to Bin Laden first, then God says that we're supposed to tell him about Jesus. If the unbelieving Navy SEALs get to him first, God says they're supposed to put a bullet in his head. We have different roles in the society. It's not for Christians to execute anyone.
So you're telling me that no soldier is a Christian.
No, that's not what I'm telling you.
If they kill somebody.
That's not what I'm telling you. I know many soldiers who are Christians. What I'm telling you is if they lived consistently with the commands of Christ, they wouldn't do any killing.
Yeah, but nobody does.
That's not true. Check out Desmond Doss. Google Desmond Doss. You'll see. There's lots of
Desmond
Christians.
Doss?
Desmond Doss. Desmonddoss.
Okay. I mean,
So I'm not against war.
you can at least agree with me that at least 99% of people don't live by God's command.
I mean, I don't agree with that.
Listen. That would defeat the whole purpose of being a sinner, my friend.
Jonathan, you are looking at the world from a very myopic perspective. You're in America. You were born in America. All you know is America. So the variant of Christianity that you know is just American Christianity.
Okay.
What I'm trying to explain to you is that all over the world, Christians have this perspective.
Okay. I mean, I can't argue against it because I have no idea.
Yeah, it's not on us to do the killing.
Anyways, so back to the thing that I was trying to say a while ago, and I'll have to go pretty soon here because I got to get ready for work. But you were saying with the lions how they basically rape, which is not just with lions, but there's a lot of different animals like otters, one of the cutest animals ever. They actually, I think, if I remember correctly, they rape their women so hard sometimes they end up dying. But anyways, but that's just one part of it, my friend. You could obviously apply that to humans as well. But just as well as there's dark things about it, there's good things about it. Just like when an elephant dies, their lover will actually lay next to the body, cry, and kill themselves by starvation. Did you know that?
Yeah? What about it?
So it's basically just the same thing. They're just not as evolved as people are. They don't have the same brain, the same concepts. They have the same emotions, the same mannerisms as people. Apply just about any mannerism that a person has to an animal.
Yeah, but again, your philosophy, your stated philosophy, and what you actually do in the real world don't match. You don't believe that animals and humans are the same. If you had a friend,
I don't believe people are the same either.
Right. If you had a friend and she was a girl and she said, "My boyfriend treats me like a dog," you would say, "Excellent." You would say, "Then get the fuck out of the relationship," because you know intuitively that he's not supposed to treat her like that, right? Right?
I mean, if she doesn't want to be treated like that, I don't fucking know.
Whoa.
Depends on what your thing is.
Well, if she comes to you and says, "My boyfriend treats me like a dog," you would tell her not to be in that situation, right?
Are you bringing up a dog as an animal concept, or just
right.
Like saying how the thing?
Right.
Because that's funny.
You don't believe, but all I'm saying is you don't believe in your practical life that humans and animals are equivalent. You don't believe that. That's just bullshit.
Not on not using the concept like. I'm just saying we're not more worthy of life.
No, yes, we are. We absolutely are.
How do you think?
We absolutely are. And honestly, you're just saying this to divert from the fact that you're okay with the slaughter of 50 million other human beings by dismemberment.
Are you talking about abortion?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, I could tell you the reasons why I'm a pro-choice.
I don't care. Listen, I don't care why you're pro-choice. It's evil.
Okay.
It's evil. It's the same way that your German citizen would have reasons for why they're reporting their Jewish neighbor to the SS. There's always justifications.
Do you have a pet dog, or have you ever had a pet dog?
Once again, you're trying to divert from the fact that you support abortion, which is a dismemberment of human beings.
My support is evil.
Say again?
Because of the action of the dismemberment is evil, that makes me an evil person.
No, listen, hold on, stop. Dismemberment of human beings.
Yes.
You're no different than the Germans who were sending their Jewish neighbors off to Auschwitz.
It is different for the fact of the reasoning behind that, but okay.
Yeah, you have different justifications, brother.
Yes.
But the outcome is still the same. Your neighbors are dead. Still the same.
Okay.
All right. So if you,
but what you're saying the action is evil. But would it be evil if I went over, like, let's just say you have a dog, even if you don't have a dog, okay? Would it be evil for me if I was at your house if I skinned that dog alive and barbecued? in front of your kids. Would that be evil? Yes or no?
Well, are you trying to eat him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what's the problem?
So you're saying it's okay if somebody goes over to another person's house or anywhere, for that matter, gets their dog, skins them alive.
Well, no, I mean the dog is the other person's property.
Well, let's just say it wasn't that way. Let's say if I was in a park and I got my own dog and did it in front of kids.
Well, why would you skin it alive?
Would that be evil?
Why would you skin it alive?
That's how they do it with the meats that we get now.
Well, I mean, I think that's bad, but I don't. It's nowhere in the stratosphere as evil as Auschwitz or abortion.
You're saying, well, it's bad. At first, it wasn't evil, and now it's bad. But
well, hold on.
I can tell you right now, it's evil, man.
Well, hold on for a second. The only reason it's bad is because it's causing the animal unnecessary suffering. But what I said to you
that's what all these industries do.
Well, no, I mean, if you slaughter the animal, slice its if you took the dog and you sliced its throat and then you barbecued him, I wouldn't eat it. But it's not evil. Why would you skin it alive, though? That's my question.
Dude, I guess you don't really know what goes on in the industries.
Yeah, but again, you're diverting. You're diverting. You're okay.
No, that was my whole thing.
You're okay with human beings being dismembered, just like the Nazi neighbor was okay with their human neighbor being dismembered.
In all fairness, I don't even know that the fetus even can understand the concept of what's going on.
He can't. What does that have to do with anything?
It's not the same thing because an animal is more intelligent than even a baby is.
Ah, okay. So it's actually worse to kill the animal than the baby.
Yeah, I would say that.
All right. Oh, okay. So this is what I'm talking about. So earlier you said that you're you're bad, but you're not Hitler. Hitler had a pet cat. He's out there gassing these Jews over there in Auschwitz. This is why I said that you're naive about yourself. The only reason you're making this argument is because it's socially acceptable to kill babies. That's the only reason.
No, not at all.
Yeah, for real.
No.
Are you good? I'm
not like most people, man. I don't agree with most concepts.
I can see that, but you don't care about your littlest neighbor, and you're in a society